It is Monday, November 18th, 2024. This is another edition of Football Today presented to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum of the NFL. It is Rose, Penik, and Skinner back with you as we're digesting week 11 around the NFL. And of course, we're going to get it going with what? That would be our La Vida Más Fina game of the week. It is brought to you by Corona, and it was maybe the game of the year, and it lived up to its billing. Bills 30, Chiefs 21, Chiefs perfect record no more. Chiefs lose for the first time since Christmas of last season. And of course, nobody wants to give the Bills any credit because they say, well, it doesn't matter until what happens in the playoffs. Bobby Skinner, are you one of those people?
Yes, but not because of Josh Allen, because of the Bills' defense. And it just seems like the Chiefs turn it up. I actually was watching you last night, Chris Rose, and I saw this stat about the Bills are 4-1 versus the Chiefs in the regular season, 0-3 in the playoffs. And you're like, oh boy, Josh Allen, he sure is I think we've seen the best of Josh Allen in some of those games. But the Bills have won on a score of 25.8 to 20.8 in the regular season. They lose in the playoffs 35 to 28. So Josh Allen has performed outside of that, one year. I think that was the 2022 year or 2020 year, the first year they matched up in the playoffs. It's just been Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense has turned it on more. And I do think this matchup means more to the Bills than it does the Chiefs. So, yes, does it matter now? Not really, even though this could get them the 1 seed. But we even saw last year. The Chiefs was a quote-unquote down year. They were on the road, and they still won that matchup. So, but I still love the regular season matchups. This is Brady Manning, like I talked about.
Yeah, well, I do want to say something, which is, so they were eliminated in 2020, 2021, and 2023 by Kansas City. So the first one, it was 14 points. It was kind of Buffalo's first taste of being a really, really good team under Josh Allen. Then the next year, it was the 13-second game, right? Buffalo takes the lead with 13 seconds to go, and Mahomes somehow gets them in field goal range, and then Josh Allen never sees the ball again, and then we have the overtime rule change, et cetera, et cetera. Last season, a missed field goal with under 2 minutes to go does them in. So, yes, I understand
and
that.
The fourth down, DeMar Hamlin punt, fake punt.
The fake punt, sure.
So it's like this year they got the fourth down conversion by Josh Allen. Last year they failed the fourth down punt. It's always going to be a close game, and that's why I love this matchup.
Yes, and at the end of the game, it's who has more points, who ends up walking away, not the fact that you're close, but the fact that Buffalo does have the formula there to beat them. In fact, they dropped 30 points on a defense that hadn't give up more than 28 since the 2022 season, I believe. So there is a system in there and a way, and certainly a quarterback that can get this done. So I don't see Sunday as nothing. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, oh, okay, well, I'll see you in January. I still think it means something. What do you say, Penik?
I think it does, because you saw a guy like Curtis Samuel step up to the plate, and I know they had Keon Coleman out, but that was nice to see Curtis Samuel step up to the plate. You saw the impact of Amari Cooper. I'm telling you that Amari Cooper, again, this is a no-shit Sherlock kind of statement, but the X factor for the Buffalo Bills going on a postseason run, or maybe even possibly winning a Super Bowl, winning that AFC, it is, can Amari Cooper be the alpha number one wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills? And at least on some occasions and some catches, like early on in the game, that one-handed catch, that's what you need Amari Cooper to be if you're the Buffalo Bills. And also, I thought Tony Romo did a great job of pointing this out. I actually want to try and do a little bit of a video on this, a little bit of a short on this. It's going to take some video editing on my end. But I thought the Bills did a good job of, number one, they hit Patrick Mahomes 7 times. They only sacked him twice, but they hit him 7 times, and it was with 6 different players. I believe the player that had 2 QB hits was Gregory Rousseau. He had 2 QB hits. The rest of the players just had 1 QB hit. Von Miller had a sack. That's big. But they kept Mahomes within the pocket. And I thought Romo did a great job of identifying, like, you got to stay in your rush lanes. You got to stay disciplined. The Bills did that, and they got a lead. I mean, the game was close, but they controlled, it felt like the Bills had control of the game for the most part, especially in that second half. And I feel like that's what the Bills, if you're going to play each other in the postseason, you cannot allow this Chiefs team to get ahead, to play with the lead. They're going to get those gains of 4 to 9 yards. Now, forcing Mahomes to throw and forcing Mahomes to try and be explosive and find a way to win, that is a dangerous recipe. But I think at this point, that is the way you kind of have to beat the Chiefs. You have to get ahead, and you have to stay ahead, keep your foot on the accelerator if you're Josh Allen and the Bills, and they did that. They did not allow the Chiefs to come back.
Bobby, do you think that the Bills are better than the Chiefs?
No.
It's a good question. They're very different teams.
No, I don't think so. I think the Chiefs have the quarterback advantage. I think the Chiefs...
But not by much.
Best quarterback in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. Josh Allen's my 2 or 3 with him and Lamar. But I do think that matters, especially when it comes to the playoffs. I'll take Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins versus, Amari Cooper and Kincaid, or, if Kincaid's back there. And then defensively, I think the Chiefs' defense is a good bit better than the Bills' defense. Now, the Bills' defense has played well, but I think the Chiefs just have more dogs and just better premier players when it matters the most.
Do you think that it matters where a playoff game would be played? Like, does Buffalo need to somehow tie Kansas City and then win the head-to-head tiebreaker because they'd have no chance at Arrowhead?
No, I really think a lot of it has to do with who has the ball in the last possession.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been what this matchup has been for 3 years now. It's been who had the ball last ends up winning this, right? Regular season and postseason for the most part. I really think that's what it comes down to. This is how you think these teams are deadly close.
Yeah, and I think that we would listen. I think it'd be great for all football fans to see yet another chapter in it, because sometimes you get worn down. You're like, oh, not again. But I really think that
I love it.
With Buffalo still with so much to prove in a mid-January game, I think it'd be a great treat for us. Penik, any final thoughts on this?
I was going to say, if you ask me what is one thing I want out of the NFL playoffs this year, it's I want to be sitting on a couch in Mobile, Alabama, watching the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. That is my goal for the rest of the season. I don't care what Super Bowl matchup you get. I want those two teams playing in the AFC Championship game.
Again, and I feel like the X factor in all of this is it's Andy Reid and Steve Spags in the postseason again. I mean, I think that's when you want to talk about rosters and maybe playing each other in the postseason and who has a leg up. I mean, just the postseason experience that now Andy Reid has and the postseason success that he has, and we know the postseason success that Steve Spags has, and he puts together, what's the word I'm looking for? Game plans, playoff game plans. I think that's the ultimate advantage that you have. Sorry, couldn't think of the word game plan.
That's all right. It gets early around here late. All right, that was the game of the week brought to you by Corona. And you know what we always try to be? A fan that never loses. And here's what we mean. I'm a Browns fan. Those guys are Giants fans. Each of our teams, they have 2 wins. 2 wins all year. But even when those squads lose, we still love the game. We still got big-time passion. You can hear it in our voices. We still love football. So whether it's the threat of throwing the ball downfield, actually completing something, or maybe getting a first down on 3rd or 4th and short, or just having fun with your buddies while tailgating, there's always something to cheer for. And the best beer to pair with those awesome moments, it's Corona. Corona's all about finding the maximum amount of joy with every moment of the game. Win or lose, at home or on the road, it's the perfect beer to go along with watching football and all the moments that come along with it. So cheers to everybody who loves the game beyond the scoreboard. Corona, for fans who never lose. Get yours at ordercorona.com for 21 and over. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer. It is imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. And you know what's a great way to enjoy another Corona? Take it every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Sit wherever you want to sit with your streaming device and tune into yet another regular season game of Blitzball Battle 5. Blitzball Battle 5, a pair of winless teams going at it, trying to avoid playing in that loser's bracket, if you will. Team Baggage has never beaten Del Caribe. How are they going to get it done later today?
Well, I think they gained a lot of confidence in their last matchup despite the loss. One thing you can take with absolute certainty is somebody is leaving with a win from this one.
So Baggage hit the ball exceptionally well. They came up on the short end of the stick in their first game of the season. Del Caribe did not get a single hit against Forgotten Rotten.
Different matchup here today.
If we go back to every single tournament played in the warehouse, I think I've taken team baggage at every game they've played. They do not want that skunk patch.
I don't think I've got one right so far, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Del Caribe.
Why not?
Just to help you out, Kels, so that way everybody's happy.
I got team baggage. Stupidly, I picked them to win the entire tournament. I don't know what it is. I think I'm a moron. We will see you later today. We continue Blitzball Battle 5. So make sure you check out yet another edition of Blitzball Battle 5. I'll see you in the stream, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Can't wait. Love the exchange. Love the back and forth. Love the trash talk and everything that comes along with it. We saw plenty of that. Battle, trash talk, fights, and then some as the Steelers widen their lead in the AFC North. They win their first divisional game of the season, 18-16 over the Baltimore Ravens, just like in week 1. They do not score a touchdown. They settle for 6 Chris Boswell field goals. That is enough. They hold off and thwart a 2-point try by the Baltimore Ravens with under 2 minutes to go. And Justin Penik, Lamar Jackson told us last week, I don't know what the Steelers do to me, but they do something. And now he is 1-4 all time against the men of steel. That's got to count for something, right?
It does. And right now, what the Steelers are doing, I talked about it last week, but I think this game is the epitome of it. They're just doing the little things right. They are a disciplined team. They are winning on special teams. They are forcing turnovers. I honestly do think there is a way to quantify it. And I'm this is one of the things, again, I want to maybe plan on doing this week, of trying to find the little moments in games, like those game-changing plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they get a block on special teams, where Peyton Wilson has this high effort play interception. Like there is a way to quantify it by like how much like EPA can swing on a play, not to get too nerdy. But that's what the Steelers do. They do the little things right. I believe they're 2-0 this year when they haven't scored an offensive touchdown. I think the rest of the league is 2-19. Shout out the Washington Commanders against the Giants week 2. I don't know the other team, but they're doing the little things right. And I think more importantly for the Baltimore Ravens, despite them being 2 for 2 in red zone efficiency, 1 for 1 a goal to go, the Steelers were 0 for 4 in red zone efficiency. They're walking away with the loss. The Ravens were highly penalized in this game. They have turnovers. So there are certain things that the Ravens are doing. That 2-point play, Isaiah Likely and Nelson Aguilar having miscommunication at the line of scrimmage, those are little things. That is the difference between Lamar Jackson going on a postseason run and maybe even winning a Super Bowl, and then one of those games where it just all blows up in their face. So the Ravens can be as efficient as they want. Lamar can win MVP, and I love Lamar. You know I love Lamar. But it's just one of these games that could bite them in the ass in the postseason. You got to get these little things right. And right now, the Steelers are doing them right, and the Ravens have these games where sometimes it blows up in their face.
Well, even then, I mean, Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals.
That too. Yes.
But like you mentioned, like a fumble on the first drive of the game, right? Steelers don't go on this long drive, but they get 3 points out of that. You miss 2 field goals. That's a 6-point thing right there. Get the ball, with less than 2 minutes left to go in the half, fumble there. Steelers get a free 3 points, and then you have the interception that Lamar had that led to another field goal by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, like, this was Ravens defense, which has been the weak point of the team, played really well. Like, this was Russell Wilson's worst game as a Steeler by far, and yet they come out victorious because that defense is the reason why that Steelers team is legitimately good.
With the Ravens, it feels like we make some excuses for Lamar, right? Like, he is so much of a Superman. And Josh Allen didn't have to be Superman, except when he really needed to put his cape on against Kansas City. Like, the rest of the team, the rest of the Buffalo Bills did their job. Offensively, Derrick Henry was pedestrian, right? We brought him in to be the hammer, to be the difference maker in big-time games. I think he had 13 carries for less than 70 yards, something like that. He did have a touchdown. He had the huge fumble on the second snap of the game. Last year we blamed Todd Monken because he got away from running the football with running backs. He said that's not going to happen. Well, it kind of happened in this game a little bit. They really didn't establish the run at all, whether that was with Lamar, who I think in big games does sometimes. I think they have to use his legs more. It can't just be, okay, let's drop him back, and when there's nothing going on, then he can take care of the defense. I think there's got to be more designed runs for him in big games against a team. And I'll be curious to see if they make any more adjustments when they have Pittsburgh come to their place. But I am surprised that the Steelers are where they are, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not I can call them a legit Super Bowl contender because there's something holding me back, and I can't quite figure it out.
It's because when you go through the quarterbacks in the AFC playoffs, they're low, and they don't have a great weaponry around them to lift that quarterback up. I mean, let's go Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those are 3 AFC quarterbacks that are going to make the playoffs. What do we have for the other teams? I don't know
if you consider Herbert and the Chargers one, but
yeah, but again, I think we view the Chargers and I'd view the Steelers as more as of actual threat to the for the playoffs than the Chargers. And you guys know I love my fucking Chargers. The AFC South has CJ Stroud, even though the Texans have. So that's the real reason why. But I do think this defense is good enough to get them. This is a good enough defense, and they play to what their identity on offense, that it is a good enough team to make a run in the playoffs. It absolutely is. Are they going to be picked to do it? No. You're not going to be picked to do that when you're at a disadvantage against the other quarterbacks in your own conference. But if you put them in the NFC, I think they're just as much of a threat to the Lions as any other team over there.
I'm curious about the Ravens. If they can't catch the Steelers, then they're likely going to have to play 3 road games in order to get to the Super Bowl. Yep. And what do we always talk about? Well, you have to be able to run. You have to be able to stop the run. Those are 2 things they do well enough. Now, yesterday was really the first time that they stopped the pass all season. They have been dreadful in that area. But do they feel like through 11 weeks that they're good enough to win multiple road games come January? Penik, what do you think?
Again, like you should, like they kick ass. The Ravens can kick ass, but it's one of these games. It only takes one. This isn't baseball. This isn't basketball where it's a best of 7. It's a best of 5. You get one shot and you get 60 minutes, and it is just seeing the Baltimore Ravens have a game like this where they can be a little pedestrian on offense and they only score 16 points, and despite outplaying the Steelers in XYZ categories. It takes one game, Rose. One game, and that's what makes me scared about the Baltimore Ravens.
You know what? I was curious during the 2-point conversion. I could not believe that Derrick Henry was not on the field. I had flashbacks to Reggie Bush not being on the field on 4th and 2 in the Rose Bowl.
2-yard
Lindell
line.
White getting the ball. Because at the very least, even if you're not going to give it to him, it's not like we have to march down the field and he's not a great pass catcher out of the backfield. And you want Justice Hill in there because he can make plays happen in the pass game. We're talking about 2 freaking yards. Wouldn't you want both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on the field just for the threat of it all, Bobby? Did I miss something here?
Absolutely. That's I think my strongest takes about philosophy are on do or die plays, where it's like don't give make them account for more than that, right? That play action, that zone read to Derrick Henry is going to pull a lot more eyes in than Justice Hill. So yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I want to go through this exercise because you talk about them winning 3 road games in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they'd be the 6th seed, which means they'd play the Steelers in the first round. We could see them winning that game, right?
Yeah,
sure. They were there, and then let's say everything else went chalk. The Broncos lose, and then the Chargers lose to the Texans. Then they're playing the Bills. And then they got to play the winner of Chiefs, or sorry, they'd be playing the Chiefs, and then they have to play the winner of Bills Texans. So I think this Ravens team is the 3rd best team in the AFC at the end of the day. I know the Steelers are technically that team right now, but I would feel I would not feel confident at all picking them to make the Super Bowl.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, like I said, we keep running down the line. Well, they missed 2 field goals. Well, their guy has missed more field goals this year than he did all of last year. I mean, maybe what we're seeing is the downturn of an incredible career. Maybe that's what we're seeing. Yeah, it certainly does. They can't stop the pass. So if you have to go against, Josh Allen and or Patrick Mahomes in consecutive weeks, good luck with that. I mean,
that's the thing right there. I don't trust the defense. It's not even really a Lamar in their offense thing to me. Even though It's I don't trust that defense for 3 games.
All right. Well, but certainly, at least with their record, it looks like they are headed to the postseason. Whether that's eventually as a division champ or a wild card still has to shake out over the last third of the season. We will be talking about 2 teams that a lot of people would predict would make the Super Bowl, but are hanging on for dear life. Are their seasons done? That's coming your way momentarily. But first, Penik with this word.
With this word, and I'll give you a stat too. According to teamrankings.com, I hate that they have attempts per game, which rates are good. So there are 31 NFL teams this year that have at least attempted 1 2-point conversion this year. Half the league. There are 16 teams in the NFL this year that have not even converted a 2-point attempt. Half the league has not gotten a single 2-point attempt this year. So how do you like that? Those are stats. Teamrankings.com. If I'm wrong, blame them. Hello. Let's talk about DraftKings. Grab your favorite team's jersey and some snacks and head to the couch for another Sunday of action-packed football. And even get closer to the action each Sunday with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. When you use our code football today, staying on the action, use your $150 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot and an even bigger payout. Hey, listen. Thanksgiving Day, Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito. Put together an 8-leg parlay and have yourself a good Thanksgiving. And if sports betting is available in your state yet, don't worry, you can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy, and you have a shot to win cash prizes. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers use promo code football today. Bet $5 on any wager, get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code football today, all one word, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Fellas, you will be glad you did.
Yeah, by the way, that Giants-Cowboys might be the first ever Thanksgiving Day game flexed. Get out of here.
Yeah, right. That's going to be like the 3rd most watched NFL game in NFL history.
God, that's just horrific.
Ireland versus Italy.
We deserve that, though. That's what I love about Thanksgiving football, right? The Lions got good and robbed us of that, so we don't get Chase Daniel versus David Blau anymore.
Right.
This is what we want on Thanksgiving. We want to see teams that the season's over and they've got these 3rd-string quarterbacks in.
Yeah, you're right. You nailed it on that one. Okay, I want to talk about the 10th seed in each conference. The Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers, a pair of crushing defeats. The Niners watch Geno Smith run into their end zone with less than 30 seconds to go. The Seahawks beat the Niners 20-17. San Francisco dead last in its division. Cincinnati down 21 points with 21 minutes to go in the game. They come back, they tie up the LA Chargers, only to watch J.K. Dobbins run into the end zone from 29 yards out with less than 30 seconds to go. The Bengals fall to 4-7. They are currently the 10th seed in the AFC. Bobby Skinner, I ask you this. Are both those teams' playoff dreams, the Bengals and Niners, done?
The Bengals, absolutely. They've been dead. Their defense stinks. They're a bad team. The 49ers, no. I think the 49ers have a better chance of... I think you can make an argument that the 49ers are still the second best threat to make a Super Bowl in the NFC.
No way. There's not with the injuries, not with the inconsistency. It's like they have.
But we've seen it before where Jimmy
overnight.
G is their quarterback, and they figure it out in the playoffs. Like they have injuries, they still have a lot of talent. They've had a quarterback who's been there, where it's like, yeah, the Eagles, they could be there with the. I'm not picking anybody against the Lions, but I think this is a talented team that's lost a lot of one-score games, a lot because of special teams, which you can't discount because they do suck. Where the Bengals, to me, they're totally dead, and I felt like they've been dead for a couple weeks. That defense stinks. It's a loser defense, and Joe Burrow playing and maybe having his best season. I'd probably vote him second team All-Pro right now, but it's a loser defense, and they have no shot with that defense.
Can I just go over the schedule for the San Francisco 49ers coming up?
It's tough.
They are at Green Bay next Sunday. Then they're at Buffalo the following Sunday night. And you know how San Francisco usually does a trip where if they go, past a certain part of, maybe past the Mississippi River, they're going to stay east for another game. Well, you can't do that because it's Thanksgiving week and you'll have a mutiny on your hands. The players are going to want to be with their family on Thanksgiving. So there's no way they're going to go from Green Bay to Buffalo and house up in West Virginia or something like that. They're going to fly from Green Bay back home, then fly to Buffalo. Not easy. Then they have a home game with Chicago, a home game with the Rams. We know how tough that could be. Then they got to go at Miami, which I think will be back in the middle of the AFC playoff chase. Then home against Detroit and finish up at Arizona, which, oh, by the way, currently leads the NFC West. So you tell me how they can figure out a way to maybe sneak into the playoffs or win the NFC West. And, oh, by the way, still be the second toughest team behind the Detroit Lions in the NFC. I don't see it.
And
because they're one game back in their division. None of those teams in those divisions are world beaters, and they have 7 All-Pros starting for them, and that doesn't include Brock Purdy.
Past All-Pros. I don't think that they're still All-Pros, all those guys. But okay.
I mean, you got McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, Juszczyk fullback, so I won't even include him. Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. Like, I don't think any of those guys are has-beens. Then you have good pieces to go with. Jawan Jennings has been good with them. Jordan Mason is a backup running back. You know, they've got good, Jadavius Ward's injured right now.
Everybody's injured. This is their problem.
I agree. That's what I'm saying is I've seen this 49ers team make the NFC Championship with lesser rosters and lesser quarterback play. And stronger NFCs, too.
There's something not right with them offensively this year. And you know what's crazy? They're sixth.
Purdy hasn't played great.
I think it's been a little too much on Purdy. They've been very Brock Purdy dependent. They're still 6th in EPA per play, which is crazy.
Right.
Which tells you that it could get right and it could get better. I did since I don't know what to think about the 49ers, I did a Twitter search. I just searched the term and the team name 49ers. And a lot of tweets came up, and particularly a lot of their media members and even fans with a little bit of a following. Can I tell you who they're very mad at and they're not happy with? They are not happy with Kyle Shanahan. 3 fourth quarter blown leads this year. This is a team where I just think this year, and this is I don't know if it's directed anger or going in the right place. Like I said, they're still 6th in EPA per play. They're the sixth most efficient offense this year. So that tells me, hey, guess what? This team can't put together 4 quarters. You're blowing leads in the fourth quarter. Maybe this year ain't it. And I honestly don't think, with the adversity that this team had to face, Trent Williams missing camp, the offensive line still kind of needs work, McCaffrey missing almost the entire year with like Achilles stuff, Debo banged up, Ayuk basically took the summer off, Bosa's now struggling with hip injuries on both of his hips. I think this year just may not be it for them. And I think that's okay.
Well, I don't think it's okay with that type of talent. Let's do this right now. Because I remember the Chiefs' Christmas game last year. I want Week 12 on the record. 49ers win the NFC West, and if they don't, do they make the playoffs? Chris Rose.
Boy. I still think that yes, because I think the area where they can get better as a team is red zone efficiency. Last year, they were first. This year, they're bottom 5 in the league. So that's the area. If they if they start scoring touchdowns in there, that's, to me, the biggest thing. So I would say yes.
To winning the division or just making the playoffs?
I think the way they make the playoffs is by winning the division.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if right now, unless the Commanders start to fall apart a little bit,
which they could,
I think if you're an NFC West team, you need to win the division. I only think only one NFC West team is going to make the playoffs.
So do you think the 49ers win the division then?
No, I do not think they win the division. I think the adversity this year is a little too much for them.
Rose, what team? I'm on record. Yes. What team in the NFC outside of the Lions do you think is like the best threat against, like, are better threats in the NFC in the playoffs than them?
We have one more minute.
I think as long as the Eagles can keep Nick Sirianni out of it, I think it's them.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. But again, like 49ers Eagles in a matchup, I think Vic Fangio's been a great DC for them. Their run game's so good. AJ Brown's a beast. So I would pick the Eagles too. But I think the 49ers are, once you get to the playoffs, they're just as much of a threat as anyone named Detroit.
Well, I can tell you this. There's not a ton of great games in Week 12. However, the NFC West is going to be taking center stage because you've got some games that are going to be very, very interesting, I believe, with Seattle and Arizona going at it. The Rams will play host to the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. And as I mentioned, the Niners are taking on the Packers on the road. This was a fun-filled Week 11, as always. For Bobby Skinner, for Justin Penik, I am Chris Rose. Thanks once again for tuning into Football Today, presented to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum of the NFL.